Hey, it's Tuesday, July 3rd, 2018. I'm John Knox in Los Angeles. Now, one of these three is not a real tree. One of these three is a military weapon system disguised as a civilian communications network. All right, so this is where we are in Los Angeles. However, what I want you to really see is over to our left. So, as I do this video, if my thought processes don't seem to coalesce beautifully all the time, you'll know why. But the reason why I'm here today is what's behind me. Fireworks. Remember, this is July 3rd, just before the big day here in America. Fireworks. Now, I've just learned recently about the true components of any fireworks display. And I'll show you how private central banks, patriotism, and Chris Haskell are all tied together. Stay with me. I hope I can make all these associations work. The private central banks are known to have funded both sides of practically every war for the last 3 centuries. So most of what they are able to tell the governments that they control is who goes to war when. And then the governments, their job is to use the media to keep the citizens up and ready for war. And the best way you do it is a patriotic display. Now, I can talk about this because I was raised in a military family. I was raised to be an officer. I went to fireworks displays and said, well, I haven't been to war yet, but I've smelled what it's like and I've felt the concussions and I've seen the flashes, so I sort of did my time in war today, this evening. Okay, well, that's what happens with a lot of patriotic displays. Now, as far as the private central banks, patriotism, and fireworks, where I went for my information is a passionate lay researcher with the website of backcountryattitude.com. Backcountryattitude.com. Now, what I mean by a passionate lay researcher is this. They're not associated with a corporation, a government, or a university. So that means the lay researcher has his own independent funding, or he's driven for an intellectual reason to deeply understand a subject. Those are the people you want to go find. You want to go find authors like Ilana Freeland, you want to go find authors like G. Edward Griffin, and you want to go find other websites that are passionately devoted to giving you the best information they possibly can. So on fireworks, we've got the private central banks funding the war, but telling the media and the universities to make sure that there's a patriotic movement always afoot in the country. Right? Now, when you look at the ingredients of fireworks, and I'm going to have to read this because I really want to do justice to it. I'm an activist, I'm not an expert, so I have to read things. For the color effect of fireworks, toxic heavy metals like barium, aluminum, lead, mercury salts, antimony, copper, and strontium are used in the fireworks compositions. Those components, does that sound like a list that you've heard before? Chris Haskell is an amazing anti-geoengineering activist, and he's been framed on 6 counts of simulated terrorism by the state or whichever governmental organization you want to choose in Tucson for talking about chemtrails, stratospheric aerosol injection, tropospheric aerosol injection, albedo whitening, solar radiation management, chemtrails, whatever term you want to use. Chris has been protesting exactly that for 10 years, over 10 years, and now he's facing these simulated terrorism charges, right? But he was talking about processes that have exactly these same ingredients, right? So that's how the private central banks, patriotism, and Chris Haskell all tie together. Now, there's another thing I want to read here. Okay, got to put the glasses back on. To get the brilliant whites in fireworks, aluminum oxides are necessary. The glittering greens, barium nitrate. The blazing reds, lithium compounds. Potassium and ammonium perchlorate are propellants and oxidizers. And strontium compounds give you the blazing reds. Now, there's a lot more I could give you. He also lists what the toxic consequences are of these particular components. But what I would say to you is, rethink going to a fireworks display. General Smedley Darlington Butler wrote a small book in 1940. I mean, he may have written it even before 1940. He died in 1940. The small booklet he wrote is War is a Racket. A Marine Corps Major General, having been through his entire career, finally came to the conclusion that war is a racket. I would look at that small booklet if I were you. And when you start feeling patriotic chest pounding coming on because it's fireworks time, remember what a retired Marine Corps Major General had to say about war in general. It's a racket. Okay? One of the other videos I would highly suggest that you look at is All Wars Are Bankers' Wars. All Wars Are Bankers' Wars. It's a podcast that Michael Rivero did a couple of years ago. Never mind about the visual, it's just meant there to keep you entertained, but the audio track is amazing. I've listened to that over a dozen times. I highly recommend it. Okay, so, one other thing I wanted to cover, the pets. On 4th of July and all the other days that are right around the 4th where people think it's okay to explode explosives outside, think about the pets. I've seen pets up close and personal that just can't be consoled because they're so scared with the huge detonations and the flashes and all the crazy energy that comes around the 4th of July celebration. Think about it. The pets, the flora and the fauna, they're adversely affected by this ridiculous display of ridiculous patriotism. I wish I had a better word for it. I don't. All right. It's Tuesday, July 3rd, 2018. I'm cultivating my common sense by looking at a great lay researcher's information on fireworks and why it's something you don't want to be around. When I've cultivated my common sense, I always find that there's more and more reasons to stay curious.